This is so much better than I thought it would be. Holy. Thoma has some of the coolest drip in the game. Look at that jacket. That does not fit in Genshin Impact. It's pretty dang cool, right? But aside from that, he doesn't really have much going on for him, or at least he didn't until Dendro. You can make whatever arguments you want about his shield being pretty strong, right? He has a refreshing shield versus a consistent shield, which all things considered is a pretty cool concept, right? It's a shield over time versus just a straight up high HP shield. And that's really nice. If you guys don't know what Thoma does, just really briefly, every single time you attack when you have his burst up, he's getting basically a refreshing shield. And that's what makes him sort of a unique character. However, there hasn't really been a need for this, you know, since the game's conception, right? You have Yoimiya who could take advantage of something like that because she needs a shield, but any other shield character will do. Zhongli will do. If you end up getting someone like Layla, she would be fine for that, right? It's like any shield character alternative could fill the position that Thoma was in because there was no need for shield over time, essentially. But now, because he does one other thing in his burst, he's actually a lot more useful. The part that I left out of his burst is that whenever he attacks and he refreshes that shield, he's also kicking a wall of fire. He follows standard internal cooldown. His wall of fire applies pyro once every 3 hits or once every 2.5 seconds. And his damage itself is not really good enough to justify running him instead of another damage dealer that could also shield. So, or just a shielder with a lot better support capabilities. Now, this could change a little bit if you get up to C6 where you can get, you know, your normal charge and plunging attack bonus. That's kind of nice, and in some of his other constellations are okay. But in general, Thoma doesn't really see much use, right? Well, as I mentioned in some other videos, because of Dendro, he has become more useful, and now we can confirm it. With Nahida being able to apply consistent enough Dendro and have it up for a very long period of time, things are looking pretty good for our boy Thoma over here. He finally actually has a valid use, and that's going to be in Burgeon teams. So today, I'm going to be telling you guys exactly how to play Burgeon Thoma and why he's good. I'll be showcasing him in some Spiral Abyss as well, and if you guys enjoy this type of content, make sure to subscribe down below. It helps me out. It lets me know you guys like the video. If you like it as well, you know, do your boy a little favor. I'm still sick, by the way.
Today's video is sponsored by Devilbook, a hand-drawn game for mobile. Devilbook is an MMORPG, meaning you'll be able to see and play online alongside other players in this beautiful hand-drawn world. The design feels nostalgic and reminds me of side-scrollers from the early 2000s. It's got all the fun MMO elements, dungeons to help you gain resources to progress and find gear, guilds to play with friends, and an equipment gearing system. You also have a skill point system that allows you to spec your characters, which essentially lets you put characters into different roles as you like them to be played. Devilbook has some idle game traits as well for those who prefer it, with the option to guided questing and battles and auto combat. For someone like me who's not able to always commit all my time to bigger games like MMOs, the auto quest option has been super helpful. There's also optional PvP, and you really don't miss out on much if you choose not to participate. When you start playing Devilbook, you'll have an infinite reroll gacha, which essentially means you can just reroll your account without replaying through the beginning so that you can get the character that you want the most. You'll be able to have your favorite character at your fingertips. If you're interested in a fun hand-drawn RPG, make sure to check out the link in the description and download Devilbook now for free. Now back to the video.
Okay, so today on Thoma, basically what we're going to be doing is running Favonius Lance. I recommend Favonius Lance on him always. I actually just don't ever recommend anything except Favonius Lance. If you don't have Favonius Lance, you can use something like Prototype Starglitter. You can use something like Engulfing Lightning. Don't really recommend the catch because other characters can use it better, but if you don't have any other energy recharge polearms, this one's fine too. The main reason is because Thoma needs a lot of energy. He does generate a fair bit whenever you use his elemental skill, but it's on a 15-second cooldown, and he has an 80 energy cost as most Inazuma units do. So with that in mind, and with the fact that you're not going to have a dedicated battery in mind, if you have Favonius Lance, you got to use it on him. It's night and day difference. As for artifact sets, since we're going to be triggering Burgeon, which is an elemental reaction that scales on elemental mastery, we're going to be using the Gilded Dream set, which is 80 elemental mastery, plus a whole bunch more elemental mastery based on our party composition. You can probably guess for main stats, we're going to be using EM, and more EM, and this isn't even maxed out. This isn't even max potential. We could gain about 60 more EM here. Is it going to make or break the build? Probably not. He's only got about 627, so take that as you will. One other thing about Thoma is that you're going to need to have him at level 90 if you want to make this work. The reason being that elemental mastery and your Burgeon damage specifically is going to increase more based on your level. Your elemental mastery stat itself is going to stay the same, but the amount of value you get out of elemental mastery changes based on your level when you're dealing with Dendro reactions. So getting him to 90 is going to make your damage significantly better than if you keep him at level 70 or 80. Plus, when you get into level 90, he gets more HP, which is what his shield scales off of, so it's all beneficial. Basically, real quick, just to go over how Burgeon works. Essentially, you're going to just be using Dendro cores, which are the result of Dendro and Hydro. So Nahida plus or Ayato or Kokomi or literally any Hydro unit, you're going to be creating those cores. And then when you hit them with Pyro, it's going to blow them up. Now, the reason this works so well is because it effectively nullifies internal cooldown. It makes it so that the amount of Pyro that Thoma applies doesn't matter because the cores will get Pyro on them no matter what every time. Each individual entity has their own internal cooldown attached to them, which means that every time you spawn a new Dendro core, that Dendro core can be hit by Pyro immediately. So you're able to instantly blow those up with Thoma and do a lot of AoE Burgeon damage. On top of that, he's going to be generating shields, so all of the self damage you would be taking from Burgeon is not going to be as much of an issue. I'll tell you about how different teams work in a moment, but I want to showcase this for you just so you understand that Burgeon Thoma's actually not that bad. So just to be clear, this Abyss is pretty picky. Basically, it wants you to run a healer on the first chamber. It doesn't want you to run shields on the second chamber, but whatever, you can just do it anyways. And then on the third chamber, you basically need a bow unit or a range unit that can hit Aeon Blade Drake like that. So it becomes a little tough if you want to get the perfect team comp. So for this case, I'm going to be running a very expensive variant because it's basically the only one we can do to hit all of the check marks to pass this. That's going to be Kokomi, Nahida, Yelan, and Thoma. And what this will allow us to do is switch between driving with Kokomi or Nahida just as we need. And this will allow us to heal up with Kokomi. It'll allow us to shoot down the Aeon Blade Drake with Yelan. It'll be good. So we're going to pick our Elemental Mastery buff just because we want more Burgeon damage. And then we'll go ahead and set down Kokomi Jellyfish. Nahida, Elemental Skill, use our Burst. Yelan, EQ. We're going to want to N1 EQ with Thoma so we can try to activate Favge. Kokomi Burst. And that's hopefully going to just allow us to heal up a little bit. Now everyone's respawned or there's new spawns out. So we demark them all. Yelan. And we should have enough energy to get going with another rotation here. We're already on the last wave of enemies. We need to switch to Nahida, mark both of the wolves. Then we need to get Yelan out. I don't know if we'll group these guys at all. They don't seem to want to be grouped together. That's okay. I'm gonna use Kokomi's Burst again. We're in the corner, you can't see what's happening, but you can see Burgeon damage going out. Yelan's also gonna be dealing a pretty solid amount of damage herself. And overall, like, it ends up clearing in a respectable amount of time, despite it being kind of awkward with the rotations just due to how fast we killed everyone. Because they all kind of died before we could even get too many Burgeons off, but it was a pretty respectable damage, right? We cleared in less than a minute and a half on one half of this, and we'll do it again in the next tab. We'll clear in a pretty respectable time, so stay tuned. Starting off the next floor, we don't have our bursts, which is fine. We'll be okay. We have Yelan, and Yelan is cool. Yelan's gonna be Favge. We're gonna use Thoma. He's gonna get his burst back. We're gonna use Kokomi Burst. Get Jellyfish up. Gonna do lots of Burgeon damage. This guy's gonna walk backwards, so we're gonna try to force him back into the other friends there. He's not gonna move the right direction. Now Husks, again, the idea was that you didn't want to take them on with shields, but it just simply doesn't matter. Yeah, they're kind of a joke. They're kind of a pushover. If we could hit him with one Pyro, that would be enough, but we're just gonna kill him, try to get our bursts up for the next wave. Perfect. Now we're gonna push this guy backwards because he's gonna walk backwards because he's scared of us, like everyone else for some reason. Okay. Use our burst here, use Yelan. We're gonna run over here actually because this guy's scared of us too. And they're also gonna back up. Thoma, Kokomi Burst. And I don't know if we kept our Jellyfish up. No, it doesn't look like it. Unlucky. And yeah, honestly, the hard part about the Husks is more that, like, they don't want to stand next to each other because they're really scared of dying. But you can still clear this in pretty respectable time. There's better versions of this team for this floor. And the reason we haven't cleared it faster is because we're not able to use the better versions. I don't want to use all of our bursts. Yeah, fuck it. We might just have to. We'll just do it. Try to get some Fav procs out. There we go. All right, so we got some more Fav procs, some more Fav energy. Basically, like, it's a pretty consistently solid team so far in this Abyss, even though this Abyss is so picky about you needing a healer and about you needing a bow user specifically. I mean, I guess that could just be Diona in, like, any other situation. But it ends up being pretty okay, and I will show you some more flexible ways to play this. Now, here is where one of the weaknesses of this team is. If you're in single target combat, the damage it outputs is actually not super great, and it's basically getting carried by Yelan with an occasional hit of Burgeon. Obviously, Nahida too is doing a lot. So let me just sort of show you. We can take down the Aeon Blade Drake, which is cool. I don't think we can do anything to him now. Well, obviously we can get farm some energy, which could be good. right, there we go. So we're gonna shoot him down. Do this. Nihida, elemental skill and burst. Yelan, skill and burst. Thoma, N1, EQ. Oh, I didn't hit E. There we go. And honestly, if I pull out Nihida here, we'll get more Dendrocore spawns at this point. And you can see that, like, he is losing health at a respectable rate. It's not insanely good. But because there's not multiple enemies we're dealing with, it doesn't actually end up being as solid in this sort of combat. Especially because this is one of those floors where, like, it either wants you to bring multiple elements, or you need to be able to bring multiple, like, just different damage dealers, debuffers, anything to help him be countered when he tries to, like, absorb whatever element you're hitting him with. You're gonna need a lot of that, right? And so this team can actually suffer when most of your damage output is Hydro and Dendro, and then he just absorbs it if you don't kill him fast enough. That could be a problem. But if you look over here, we're just gonna shoot him down again because we have Yelan, which is, again, why we brought Yelan, was for this specifically. Yelan EQ, Thoma E and Q. And we're gonna kill him eventually. It'll take a little bit. We also didn't get the elemental mastery buff from Nihida. And we almost got a minute 30 on an AoE team. So honestly, all things considered, not bad. Don't look at the dead Yoimiya Kazuha. I wasn't looking. And the cool thing is that team that I showed you, I think I mentioned this already, but you don't have to use that team that I used in Abyss. You don't have to use Kokomi, Yelan, Nihida, and Thoma. You don't need the 3 5-stars to make him good. You can use Xingqiu. I would say Nihida is a character that definitely benefits Thoma a lot, and is one of the reasons that this works well, is specifically because Nihida exists. If Nihida didn't exist, Thoma would be a lot harder to play because you would have to watch out for Dendro MC's elemental burst burning up. But because you have Nihida, because you have this option, he becomes a lot more easy to run. Now, what I like to do is I like to run Ayato and I like to run Xingqiu. Unfortunately, you can't do that really in this Abyss. You won't have enough healing to deal with the Rift Wolves unless you just dodge everything, in which case you're already losing DPS, so you might as well just run a healer instead. But you can run Xingqiu and Ayato. You can run someone like Kokomi and Ayato. You can run Child, although Child is going to be a lot of Hydro. And if you're going to run Child, you actually might as well run a second Dendro MC and Nihida instead. And that way you'll be able to keep up with all of the Dendro going out and create the blooms. Dendro cores, not blooms. But basically, you just are using Thoma to prevent yourself from dying with Burgeon, while dealing a lot of Burgeon damage, consistently having Dendro uptime with Nihida, and dealing damage with your Hydro characters, because Hydro characters are all good and it's super awesome. The team is really good, and it makes Thoma good. Though he is only really super great in that one archetype right now. Obviously, you could use him in Hu Tao team if you wanted to, or you could use him in a Yoimiya team. His best place definitely seems to be a Burgeon team, and he definitely seems to be a lot better than he used to be. So if you've been looking for a reason to play Thoma, if you wanted to play Thoma but you couldn't find a way to make him super good, try this out. It's really fun and unironically not copium. If you guys have enjoyed this type of video, make sure to leave a like down below. Thanks for watching as always, everyone, and I'll be keeping you posted with all of the TCG content, new guides on Wanderer and Faruzan as soon as they are ready. I'll also be streaming late tonight until the Genshin Impact live stream, and if you want to come watch with us, come check out twitch.tv/Braxophone. It'll be a lot of fun. Catch you next time.